Yeah, so hello everyone and welcome back to our aptitude sessions. Today we will be winding up the topic called deductions and just a couple of problems more to see new types and new categories. And with that, we'll be able to wind up the topic today. And before we move on to today's topic, there are few rules regarding deductions, and I think you would have received them as your pre-lecture material already. So yeah, I would just like to brush up those things because we'll be using them in today's numericals or today's problems. So first rule is every deduction should contain three and only three distinct terms. That is your subject, your predicate, and the middle term. Only these three terms should be there, and middle term should be distributed at least once in the premises. That is, at least in one of the premises, the middle term should be distributed. If it is not, you cannot derive or draw any conclusions from those premises. And if one premise is negative, then the conclusion should also be negative. And if one premise is particular, then the conclusion should also be particular. And if both premises are negative or if both premises are particular, in both the cases, we cannot draw any conclusion. Keep in mind, whenever you analyze the premises, if both are negative or if both are particular, you cannot derive or draw any conclusion. Okay? And yeah, no term can be distributed in the conclusion if they are not distributed in the premise. So let us say in premise 1 subject is distributed, premise 2 it is not distributed. But if the same subject is carried forward to your conclusion, it can be distributed. Because in one of the premise it is distributed, you can carry it forward and tell it is distributed. If it is not distributed, in the conclusion, it should be that you cannot distribute that term. I think this part of the rule we have been following in the previous 7 examples. If it is distributed, then we are taking the same in the conclusion as well. Okay, so all of you clear with the rules? Any confusions or so?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so let's move to the examples and yeah, again, I've kept the table for reference today as well. So yes, this example. We have premise 1, no dogs are cats. Premise 2, no cats are pigs. So quickly, which is the subject, predicate, middle term, and what kind of statements?
Both are particular affirmative, ma'am.
Universal negative, both statements.
Very good.
Universal.
Yes,
Ah,
both
none.
are universal negative. Right. So subject, predicate, middle term.
In premise one, dogs is subject and cat is predicate. In premise two, cat is subject and pigs are predicates. Middle term is cats.
Very good. So
And
yeah. Yes,
yes, ma'am.
continue.
Conclusion: the dogs will be subject and pigs will be predicates.
Okay, but first
And the
tell me one thing. What kind of statement it is?
Universal negative.
universal.
Yes. So in the rules that we discussed, if both statements are negative,
No conclusion can be drawn.
yes, no conclusion can be drawn. So you don't have to worry in this case about what is the subject, predicate, distributed or not in the conclusion. You don't have to worry about it.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right.
Yes, ma'am.
So all of you clear why we are not able to draw any conclusion from these premises?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
right. So let's move to the next example then. Yeah, so this example. First premise, no dogs are cats. Second premise, some cats are not pigs. So yeah, what kind of statements? Subject, predicate, middle term?
First one is universal negative.
Yes,
Second one, particular negative.
right.
And dog, but both are negative only. No,
Yes, both are negative.
no conclusion can be drawn again.
Right. Even from this statement, no conclusion can be drawn. All of you understood why no conclusion can be drawn, irrespective of their statement being universal or particular, if they are negative. then you cannot draw the conclusion.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so shall we move to the next one then?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So the next example, premise 1, some cats are not pigs. Premise 2, some cats are dogs. What kind of statement? Subject, predicate, middle term?
Particular positive, particular affirmative, and second one is particular negative, ma'am.
Ma'am, first one is particular negative.
First one is particular affirmative. No, negative.
Right, so
Second
the
one is
first one, yeah, first one is particular negative, and the next one is particular affirmative. Fine, because R
premise.
naught has come, so premise 1 is negative.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Premise
so
1, cats are subject and pigs are predicates. Premise 2, cats are subject and pigs are dogs are predicates.
right.
Middle
Middle
term
term,
will be cat.
cats. Right. So what is your stand on the conclusion?
No conclusion can be drawn.
Very good. And why no conclusion can be drawn?
Because both the premises are particular.
Very good. Yes, because both premises are particular, no conclusion can be drawn. Just like if both premises are negative, no conclusion can be drawn. Similarly with particular. Clear with
Yes,
all
ma'am.
of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so fine then. We'll move to the next one. And yeah, the last one for today. And yeah, premise 1, some cats are not dogs. Premise 2, some cats are not pigs. So yeah, what kind of
Both
statements?
particular negative,
Both.
particular negative. Both
Right.
are particular, both negative, ma'am. So no conclusion.
Wonderful. Since both are particular and also both are negative, we cannot have any conclusion drawn.
Yes, ma'am.
Fine with all of you. Example 11 is clear with all.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So any doubts in any of the previous examples of deductions?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay. If that is the case, then that's all for today's session. Thank you so much for joining.